Hello all, this is Barbara Mann from Your Empowered You, and welcome to our leadership coaching video series where we talk about, guess what, leadership. So in part one in today's video, we're going to be talking about what actually makes a great leader. In part two, we're going to talk about new managers and some of the opportunities that they may have. And then finally in part three, we're going to talk about managing managers. So in this video, we're going to be talking about why leaders want to even become leaders. What are some of the benefits of a great leader? And then finally, what are some of the individual traits that great leaders seem to have? So the first question is, why do leaders even want to be a leader? What is their true motivator? And really great leaders, what their true motivators are helping others, helping their team, helping their organization. They want to be part of the solutions. They envision the possibilities and really try to provide efficiencies for their teams, for the individuals, for their customers, and they really, really thrive on the success of others, the success of their employees, their teams, their organization, their external customers, things of that nature. But success to others comes first, not necessarily the success for themselves. So great leaders really understand their key roles. And their key roles are to hire, onboard, train, develop the top talent for success, for career pathing, or whatever career aspiration an employee seeks out to achieve. And it's really to develop that team and keep them engaged. They know that their key role is to provide feedback, ask for feedback, provide coaching to ensure the success of their teams. They need to lead their teams to meet and exceed expectations. Every company has business results that they need to meet and exceed. So a great leader understands that. They need to lead the team. They know that they need to provide support and the tools for people's success. So if employees need something to be successful, they're there to provide those sorts of tools. They know that they're there to trust and really empower their teams to make decisions, to make improvements, and for their success as, again, an individual, a team, and an organization. They know that their job is to identify improvement opportunities, whether it's for an individual or whether it's for a process or whether it's for the opportunity, and really to question the status quo. So to keep an operation progressing forward, you need to be constantly questioning the status quo and what can we do differently? What can we do better so we can stay ahead of, say, competitors and things of that nature and not have things be stagnant. So what are some of the benefits of great leadership? I'm sure that all of us have been in an organization where there's been some great leadership. Maybe we've been in organizations where it hasn't been great leadership. But usually great leadership, these teams are very high performing. They're very, very engaged. They have high job satisfaction. There's increased retention. I mean, usually if people are happy and they're engaged and they're doing these fantastic engagement type of activities or performing well, they're happy. You stay there. There's usually promotions from within the organization because, again, there's a lot of succession planning. There's a lot of development. There tends to be a lot of loyalty in these operations because they know that leadership is there to develop them, to help them succeed. So you tend to be loyal to those types of leaders. And there's a lot of trust. When they know a leader's got their back to see them successful, that creates the trust. And it also creates an environment of accountability. So they know that if the leader is very accountable for the overall results, it starts instilling accountability for the managers down and then also individual contributors. So it really creates an environment of accountability. So what are some traits of great leadership? And I'm going to list a few here, but there's a whole plethora of traits. I tried to include what I thought were the most important traits for great leadership. But number one, and you probably have guessed what the number one trait of great leadership is about effective communication. This is important. Leadership is about relationship building, and relationships require communication. That communication is key. It's open, It's honest. It's transparent. The more open and honest and transparent you can be in your organization, the better that people are going to follow a leader. But great leaders, part of the communication, they listen. They're very, very, very good listeners. They listen. They provide their full attention to their staff, and they're really, really listening with open ears to understand the different perspectives, to really learn the different thought processes, to really try to incorporate that into problem solving, and to really help understand people. So they're very good listeners. They tend to be very collaborative, so they're always looking to include diverse perspectives amongst the team and other departments. Diversity is great with great leadership. Doesn't mean everyone's agreeing, and that's what diversity means, is that everybody's going to have their unique perspective, and when you put those all together, you come up with the best solutions and the best buy-in. They understand that. They understand people's motivators, and this is important because it's not a one-size-fits-all for everybody. Some people are motivated by salary. Some people are motivated by recognition. Some people are motivated by promotional opportunities. Some people really just love helping others. Like, what are people's motivators? They tend to understand people's motivators. And going along those lines, they know their people. They know if something's wrong, whether it's at the workplace or outside. They understand when something's off, and they follow up and inquire if somebody wants to talk about it. They also celebrate their successes for their people. So if someone is happy, maybe it's outside the workplace and they're just really happy, they're jazzed about them. They celebrate their successes with their people. Great leaders ask and provide feedback. A lot of leaders that I've seen, they don't ask for feedback. That's crucial. If you want to really identify an opportunity in the organization, you ask for that feedback. And not just ask for it, you incorporate it to improve the operation. But they know that they need to provide feedback as well. So if somebody is below expectations, they have an obligation to provide feedback and come up with collaborative plans for improvement. So they come from that place of helping. So whether they're asking for the feedback, it's about helping the organization. Whether they're providing the feedback, it's also coming from a place of helping the individual. They're proactive versus reactive. So they don't wait for issues to escalate in a big fat problem. They tend to keep the issues small or avoid them altogether. So usually a great leader will see a problem on the horizon. Maybe it's like 2 months out and they see something that's going to be a problem. They tend to work backwards so it never even becomes a problem. That's a key trait. It's kind of a unique one, actually. But if you are thinking about leadership or you're already a leader, being that proactive and seeing things a couple of months in advance and working backwards to avoid it will save so much time for not just yourself, but for your staff. Great leaders tend to provide the fishing pole and not the fish. So does everybody embrace this sort of thinking? Maybe not at first, but once your staff understands that really you're trying to help them to problem solve on their own without relying on their manager, and really trying to help them, to empower them to make better decisions on their own, they'll thank you. They may not like it at first, because sometimes you'll hear, well, if I knew the answer to something, I wouldn't have come to you. But once you ask, like, what do you think about it? What do you think we should do? Or what do you think the solution might be? A lot of times they're right. And that then builds the confidence so that they can make the decision on their own the next time. Great leaders tend to recognize and reward as often as possible, and it comes from a place of sincerity. And recognition could just be a one-on-one, hey, nice job. It could be in a big office environment. Or it could be that maybe the person doesn't even know, but they're recognizing the person to their manager. So there's a lot of recognition that goes on with great leadership, that they recognize others for a job well done. They provide opportunities for their staff. So they provide those stretch assignments that really help their employees grow and stay engaged, helping people align with their passions. So they provide a lot of opportunity for growth and expansion and kind of leaning into those that kind of discomfort, I guess. Public speaking, that's the number one. I talk about public speaking and leadership opportunities a lot in my videos. But they provide those sort of stretch assignments to help improve people, improve their team. Great leaders tend to be visionary. So, as you go higher up in an organization, leadership starts like getting bigger and bigger. You start seeing like these huge opportunities, and you start thinking big. And even if you're a new manager, to be a visionary is important. And when you see something, say you see a solution, you start working with the end in mind, and you work backwards. But they tend to be very visionary and seeing the possibilities. And even though someone may say, oh, that's impossible, we always do it this way, they tend to see those opportunities for improvement. They tend to take risks. So when you're challenging that status quo and you're trying new things, that's risk taking. So they tend to make risks, not just, where, you're going to have your operation fall off the cliff. They take calculated risks. They think about, the pros and cons, and they think about the solution with that end in mind and work backwards. But they're willing to always challenge that status quo, think of what is the better solution to a problem, what's best for their employees, what's best for their customers, and they tend to take risks and try new things. They allow for mistakes, because if you're a leader, you've probably made a ton of them, and that's how people learn. So they allow for mistakes. And I'm going to tell you, when most people come to a leader and say, oh my gosh, I messed up, most of the time it's not a mistake. It's not even a mistake. So a great leader knows when it's truly a mistake or it's not. So they have sort of their mistakes under their belt to be able to assess. But they allow for people to think they made mistakes, and if they did make a mistake, they know when to advise others to bring them into the discussion of if there is a serious mistake. But the point is that they allow for mistakes without feeling like someone's going to get fired. They tend to be very curious and want to learn from their department, learn from their team, learn from other business leaders. So that's why a lot of times, they're asking for feedback. Feedback's a great way to understand what people are thinking about processes, how to improve upon processes or their customers. So they tend to really be curious and love to learn. They surround themselves with top talent. This is big. They don't usually have big egos. So when they're surrounding themselves with top talent, most of the time someone's going to know more about a particular subject than them, and that's totally fine with the great leaders. They don't have a big ego. They want people to know more than them. So they're always surrounding themselves with top talent. Now with that talent tends to get promoted. That's what a great leader loves to see, is they love seeing that promotion from their top talent. But they're constantly surrounding themselves with that top talent. They tend to share information. So some leaders tend to hoard. They hoard the information. They don't want to share because they're really about their success of themselves. Great leaders tend to learn information. They tend to share information with their teams, with other departments, because really what's driving them is the success of their team and their organization. So that's why they tend to share as much information as possible for the success of the organization. So they share information. They tend to be very authentic. And when someone is authentic, you can see that sincerity from the person. They love their job. They love helping people. And they're pretty much the same person in terms of that aura that they have with any person in the organization. So they could be talking to an individual contributor all the way up to senior management, and they just exude that sort of authenticity of whatever makes them them. And when you have someone who's truly authentic, people tend to trust that person because a great leader will have your back. So you tend to trust these people. They want to follow you. They know that you're open, you're honest, you're transparent, you got their back. You're there to see the individual contributors succeed. And so people tend to trust that person. But great leaders tend to be decisive. So if there is a call to action where they need to make quick decisions and there's a crisis that's going on, and you need the leader to make decision, they're decisive. They know when to call in, be really, really collaborative, and they know when to make a decision. And they know, like, even if you have a collaborative meeting, they know that ultimately we got to pull the trigger and make the decision. They know when to make that decision when it's the right time. So if it's a crisis, boom, they're making a decision. That's really important because indecisiveness can cause a lot of frustration amongst the staff. So being decisive and understanding, when to pull the trigger is important for great leadership. And when you're decisive and you're pulling the trigger and it's the right one, it instills confidence. So usually great leadership, they're very confident people. Now, does it mean that they're perfect and they made every decision correctly? No, it doesn't. But they still exude that sort of confidence. Even when they made a mistake, they'll go out and let people know, hey, I made a boo-boo. Here's how we're going to fix it. But they're always exuding confidence, and they're very steadfast in that. No matter what's going on, no matter what's thrown at them, they're exuding a lot of confidence. And that's key. Leaders at any level, they are accountable. They're accountable for the results of their team. They're accountable for their team's actions. So great leadership is all about accountability. They accept the responsibility of the results, whether that's good or bad. They accept the behavior of what goes on in their team. They avoid blame because they know as a leader, they're accountable, period. They are humble people. So in terms of the accountability, some leaders may say, oh, nice job, so-and-so leader, your team did a great job. What a great leader will do is they know that the team deserves the praise for the success. So they won't say, oh, thank you. What they'll say is I have a great team. My team is the best. They perform so well. They know what the opportunities are, and they fix the problem without me even asking. This team is great. So they're always acknowledging the team, and they're praising the team for all the successes. Because a great leader, we touched upon this earlier, they're constantly thinking about the success of their team and organization and not their own success. So they're constantly thinking of providing those tools, providing the means for success for others above their own. It's really about the success of others in the organization. So let's wrap this up in a bow. Some of the key items we talked about. And we just talked about this big one. Accountability. Great leaders are always accountable for their teams. They understand if something goes wrong, that they are accountable. So they're very accountable people. They empower their teams. Great leaders always empower their teams to make decisions, empower their teams to decide on career pathing, and really build the confidence of their team, their individuals, the organization, things of that nature. They're always surrounding themselves with top talent. So great leaders always have top talent around them. They have people who could probably take over for them and the grooming and succession planning, or people who are going to go off to other fantastic type of positions, but they surround themselves with top talent. Great leaders are authentic. You can tell what type of person it is. They're the same person no matter who they're talking to at any level of the organization. They are authentic people. They tend to recognize their team, the individuals. There's a lot of recognition with great leadership. And they know what their role is. And we talked about their role of really hiring the right people, developing the right people, seeing people promote, giving them stretch opportunities, engaging them, meeting and exceeding expectations. So they really understand their role as a leader. So I hope you've enjoyed part 1 of what makes a great leader, and look forward to attending our part 2 series on new managers. So to visit my website for additional resources, or to schedule a session with me, and if it's about leadership coaching, that's really sort of my powerhouse coaching. I have a lot of leadership experience. Please visit my website at www.youремpoweredyou.com. You can email me directly at bman@youремpoweredyou.com, or you can give me a buzz at 916-633-2555. And I thank you very much and have a very empowered day.